Let's talk about The Good Place in Time. The Good Place is a show about the afterlife. Our protagonist, Eleanor Shellstrop, wakes up at the beginning of the show to be told that she is in the good place, the show's version of heaven. Yet, Eleanor realizes she doesn't belong. Thus, this starts as a standard sitcom. The situation is that Eleanor needs to find a way to stay in the good place, and comedy ensues.
They're never gonna call a train to take us to the bad place. They can't, because we're already here. This is the bad place.
This is the moment the good place and the time it occupies turns itself on the head. Michael immediately resets his good place experiment, so the characters are brought back to who they were when the show started. The relationships and the character development between Eleanor, Chidi, Dahani, and Jason all reset, while Michael retains his knowledge from his previous attempts. So, there's two types of time at play. The linear time Michael experiences, and the non-linear time of our four protagonists. Here, Michael acts similarly to a player of a video game. As Hansen argued in his book, Game Time: Understanding Temporality in Video Games, game time is distinguished by its apparent malleability, navigability, and possibility. But this apparent freedom of game time can be chimerical and is often characterized by replay and repetition. Michael has the freedom to turn back events as many times as he wants, but is limited in what he can control. Undesired effects, Eleanor discovering she is in the bad place, keep happening. Time in the good place continues to complicate at the end of season 2, when Michael goes back in time to bring the humans back from the dead. However, when his plan once again goes awry, he is forced to explain the concept of Jeremy Bearimy.
Time in the afterlife moves in a Jeremy Bearimy.
What?
In the afterlife, time doubles back and loops around and ends up looking something like Jeremy Bearimy.
Here we see the same mix of linear and nonlinear time. Jeremy Bearimy is a continuous line, except for the dot in the middle, but it loops back on itself. So, at once you can experience it linearly and nonlinearly. We see Jeremy Bearimy in effect when Eleanor learns about the events that happened to her over the Good Place experiment. The audience watched it happen, but she had never experienced it in her life. Those things never happened to her. The constant reset of The Good Place lends itself to playing with the format of a sitcom, a format that we tend to have expectations for. They resolve episode to episode, and so we see the characters and their arcs effectively reset over and over again. Sitcoms only work if the situation that causes the comedy stays the same. While in other shows, the all-too-common reset of character development tends to be a sign of bad writing or the show getting stale, here it's executed expertly. It is that capacity to grow each time under different circumstances that proves that there is potential for good within everyone. And through observing that constant growth, Michael also eventually grows, changing his experiment to one that seeks to redefine the way we classify the morality of humanity, thus breaking down the show out of the situation it puts itself in, while retaining the comedy.